Hey everyone, Kim here, Abundant Life Tarot. And if this live works out, wonderful. If not, I may have to do a pre-record because I do live on a tropical island, and it's not always clear internet. So we'll see. We'll play it by ear. But I thought it easiest to do it in this format to share with you some updates that's been going on with some of the cases that I've done readings on the channel for our Mystery Mystic series. So I'm going to just kind of power through it. It's like I said, the internet can be a little shaky. So what I will do is get started with the intro. All right, so I had to put the disclaimer out. Okay, so anyways, thank you all so much for joining me. Hello, Karina. How are you doing from the Oracle Throne? I appreciate you joining me. We're doing a live stream for Mystery Mystic. It's been a while. I don't always do live streams lately, but I was trying my luck today to see if I could get through. I have some updates on cases that I've covered, and I wanted to talk about them. I also do want to speak on the Nicola Bulley case. I have a feeling that's going to be a little bit more in depth, so that'll be towards the end of my little presentation today. But the updates we should move through rather quickly. Okay. I do like to keep everybody abreast of any major updates that come through on the cases that we cover here. And that's what we're doing today. That is what we're doing today. So I made a little something here for us. And I gotta just add it. How do I do that? There we are. Okay. Oh, friends. So let me talk to you all about some updates that we've got going on. Birds are making a lot of noise. We've got an update on Felicia Johnson. We've got an update on Nicola. There's been little updates with Nicola's case. Marvon, McCray, kind of an update. And then Nykari Johnson and Zailey, Flores. So we've got some updates. First up, let's talk about some positive news, we'll say. So we have some updates with Nykari's case. Nykari was missing out of Carmichael, California, and it was like December 27th she went missing. Well, she's been found. There's not been a lot of details on where she was that entire time. Recently covered on the channel is also kind of wrapped up, I suppose you could say, because she was I had to go out and go back in. Sorry, folks. It's island internet and it's the best I can get. So, like I said, I may do a video, but this will be quick because well, let me not get ahead of myself. So, anyways, 2 folks have been found. Yay. I did do multiple videos on Zailey's disappearance, and I elected not to upload the detailed tarot and oracle reading I did for her because like within a day of me recording them, then her mom posted that she had been found. And then on that following Monday, that was like Friday or Saturday, that following Monday, the FBI had confirmed she had been found. But, yeah, some of the cards in that reading kind of pointed to something going on with Zailey. And I'm not accusing Ricardo of anything, but it's just, you could even hear it in my voice when I did that reading. Like, yeah. So, anyways, can you all hear me or see me? We're moving on to, I'll just leave. Oh, all right. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yay. Good. I was like waiting and waiting and waiting, trying to decide, do I shut down everything or go back up? All right. So, anyways, so that's lovely news about them being found. And I just pray that those young ladies are getting the care that they need, because I don't know, like, whether you are taken or you go away or you're ill or, you have whatever issues, I just pray that they are getting the healing that they need. And because you're in the public eye, your disappearance, I mean, I could just imagine from their perspective. So anywho, let me move on to our rest of our conversation. So another update that had come about is, Vaughn's case. Okay. I'm almost afraid to share the screen because I feel like that's what makes it go crazy. Okay, so Vaughn's condition, as far as I know, is still unconfirmed on whether or not he's still with us or not. Drea, I don't follow her. I don't really know much about her. But what I do know, it does seem that she's just kind of been off social media from what I can see and what I've heard. And the biggest update with their case or with her case is that there's no criminal actions being filed against her. And I know a lot of people, when everything was going on with Vaughn being in the hospital, like you see here, like in a comatose state, it just was not looking good. But in my readings, I was like, I don't sense that there's going to be like criminal charges being brought against her. And lo and behold, there's no criminal charges. And people can feel however they want to feel about that. I have my own opinions about it, but it is what it is in the readings. So, anyways, let's move on. Let's just to Felicia. So Felicia's remains have been found. And this case was really, really challenging for me to do on the channel. It really hit me hard. And then to find out what may have happened to her, as far as someone taking her against her will and doing horrible things, allegedly, although there was things in his phone like searches on how to, get rid of a body and all these kind of things. It's just really heart-wrenching. So I did quite a few readings on Felicia's case, and just last week it was reported that they have found her remains in the Sam Houston National Forest. Okay. So that's 50 miles north of Houston. And the gentleman who did this to her, who is accused of doing this to her, is still on the run. Like, he is nowhere to be found. It's really upsetting to me. So, but I did want to show you some things from the readings that I did on her case. And then we're going to move on to Nicola, because I just have a little bit to say about her. Let me do this. It's not all sunshine with these kind of readings. And sometimes we have to wait a long time for updates. That's like the nature of the beast too. So Felicia, so she went missing last April 2022, I believe. Yes. And she went out to Houston from San Diego, California, and it was like a part of her birthday. There was some indication that she may have been into, I guess you could call it like call girl work. I don't know what the official name of it is, but that's what she was also going to do. And she also was going to try to get hired on at this gentleman's club in Houston. Well, she goes missing, and her phone ends up in this place called Bear Creek Pioneers Park. Okay. So it was like blood on her phone, and her loved ones found her phone because they were able to track it. You know how you have the maybe Apple phones or something, y'all can all stay connected. I don't have that on my phone. It sounds like a great idea. But anywho, they tracked down her phone, and eventually the investigation led to this gentleman here who's still on the run. And so some observations we made in the past when I did a reading, one of the readings on her case was like, look at this picture of the valley. Now, if you look at it in comparison to Bear Creek Pioneer Park, it's very similar. So that spoke to the phone, but it didn't speak to where exactly she may have been, Felicia. So this was just a map. This is part of my reading process, is I like to go look at the Google Maps, drop my little man down there in the Google like world of Street View, and then give a lay of the land, visually if I can. Not all the time. Sometimes these places are remote. But anyways, I plotted out things. And of course, I did readings. And it says the killer is a predator who tracks a specific type of victim. I use my divinatory dice here at times to ask questions like, will she be found? We got a yes. And then I asked, well, how long will we really get like more closure to this? And it was said 3 to 5 seasons. And that's where we are. So I wanted to draw your attention to Animal Park, because when that card came up in her reading with greenhouse, I just couldn't understand, like, Animal Park. And then the North American map. It's me like mapping things out all the time with this particular case on Google. And I thought that's interesting. But the Animal Park kind of like stumped me. Well, Sam Houston National Forest also spreads into Louisiana, and there's like alligators there. People hunt for all kinds of different animals. You can go and bird watch. If it feels very Animal Park to me. Like, it's not your neighborhood suburban park. This is like a full-on big forest, big ass forest, like that crosses a couple of states. So, anywho, this fool who is accused of doing this to her was Googling stuff like how to be a SK, a serial killer, where's the most forested place in Texas to, well, he didn't say to dispose of a body, but you can deduce that's what he's looking up, or why he's looking up the most forested area in the Houston area or whatever. It's just like, oh my God. So that was quite a tough one. And they are still sending out for records, like dental records, to see it, just to confirm if it matches up with her, with Felicia. But they reached out to her father and conveyed that news to him, that they believe that those are her remains. Her jewelry was on the remains, the skeletal remains. So yeah, just put the FYI out there that Chuck, I don't know how to pronounce his full name, but I'll link some news articles after I'm done recording this live. So if you know folks who live in Houston, have them keep an eye out. Anywho, it's really upsetting. Okay, let's move on to our discussions on Nicola. All right, because I don't want to keep y'all here all day. But I appreciate all of your thoughtful comments. I've been trying to read through them. I'm going to do some more checking through the comments today as time permits. And I appreciate you reaching out. Some of you have emailed me. Some of you have sent messages through my contact form on my website. So I just thank you. The thing about readings is they take a lot of energy, and I am a professional reader. So when I'm not doing Mystery Mystic Monday readings, I am reading for clients. So I can't drop everything to do these readings, but I do give a chunk of time to them, and energy. I also know how polarizing doing readings can be. Like, some family and friends really love that we do this for their loved ones who are missing or have succumbed to mysterious circumstances, like something is questionable about how they may have passed. And readers and psychics, they do readings on their channels or wherever they do their virtual readings on these cases. And there could be backlash. There could be people who are offended. It could certainly be family members or friends who might be offended. So I have to manage all of that, So it's not always the easiest thing to manage. And that's why I take little breaks in between. I have been following Nicola's case for a bit now, and I really appreciate the conversations you all are having. I wanted to have a place where we could have conversations, and you all have been so insightful, especially those who live there. You've been very helpful in helping me to understand certain things. And a couple of developments that happened with Nicola's case, well, at least for me over the weekend, because there's a time difference between us and the UK, but there was a unknown witness, who came forward and said that there were two suspicious looking men who tried to keep their faces shrouded or covered. And they were fishermen. And he said he got this witness, I'm assuming it's a he, this witness got an uneasy feeling about the two gentlemen that were there. Now, it could have been that they were going to be poaching, illegal fishing. I know about that because that would happen in California, people doing, things. Even out here on the islands, they're poaching or whatever. So, yeah, it could be just that. They're just trying to cover themselves, but it could be something more. And I think if I read correctly, I was reading this morning as I was waking up, but that one of the men was seen 7:45 a.m. on the path of where Nicola would have been traveling or whatever. And, this witness wished that law enforcement had reached out to them prior to the 9 days that it took for law enforcement to get a statement from this witness. 9 days, according to this unnamed witness. I'll say that. So, yeah, tarot does tell the blunt truth, and it's up to us to interpret it in the fairest way. Thank you. I'm going to have to read that with more conviction. It says, tarot tells the blunt truth, and it's up to us to interpret in the fairest way possible. But even with the best intentions, there will always be people who refuse to accept it. That's right. You do. Oh, thank you for saying I do a great job. I really try, because, I don't want it to be this just thing where we're like completely bashing someone. And I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I'm a truth teller. So there's this part of when I'm reading, even though I'm very much talking to you all as I got the camera down and I'm doing the card readings and I'm just like really into the readings, so much so I don't remember what I necessarily say. I don't want to say I'm in a trance state, but I'm not always like in it. So I will watch the video later of myself doing the readings, maybe a few days after I've done it. And I will just be like, oh, I said that. Oh my goodness. That's why they're going to fuffle in the comments section. Like, oh, that I ruffle some feathers. And then I'm like, oh, I did say that. And then I look at the cards, because I take pictures of all the spreads I do and save them. And I was like, oh, I could have even said more, but I didn't. There's this level of, let me hold back a little, And I've had, over the course of doing these readings, people reach out to me privately, and I do private readings outside of what's on YouTube, because that would be safest for that particular case. And then if the person gives me permission, I will publish it later. So, yeah. The balance is sometimes a thing we need to figure out. The robe we walk in isn't always easy. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you so much for saying that, Phyllis. I appreciate you saying this. It's not easy. And do I sometimes, say too much or make a mistake? Yeah. And sometimes I leave things up to you all to interpret as well. Like, part of what I do on my channel is I want to inform people and show people what we do as readers. It's just one aspect of reading the cards. There's a multitude of reasons why we read with the cards. But this is one avenue that I was like, oh, I could give back. I could do these readings. And it comes with a huge responsibility, though, as altruistic as I am about it. Like, oh, I'm going to come and do readings for people and it's going to be great. It's not always like great news. And then I'm like, you could even sometimes hear me gasp. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like, did I just say that or feel that or see that? Yeah. So I posted up about the 8 of Cups. Now, this deck, the Light Seers, I always work with it. It may be an impromptu reading. It's more so if I feel the urge to throw a card or two for Nicola. I typically, just so you know, I typically like to record the readings at night with few interruptions. It is bright daylight here. And so I also ask people for questions. Some questions I will ask during the next reading that I plan to do. I do plan to do one more for her. And for me, I'm most curious about these 2 gentlemen. Like, what was the real purpose of them being there? Is it innocent enough? Well, you know what I mean, innocent. Poaching is probably not innocent. But like fishing, like that's innocent. Or is it something more sinister? And is it something related to Nicola? I approach my readings in a particular way, if you haven't noticed. So that's just how it works for me. That's my system. So I do ask people during these live streams if there's a question that you want me to ask during the reading. I will write it down or take a screenshot so I can include it. Now, I know some of you want to ask me if I feel that she's alive or not. Sometimes you'll get clues in the readings that I do. I don't like to overtly say stuff. Some people are like, well, just say it. Well, again, it's one of those lines that I have to intuitively know when to cross or not, when it feels very definitive for me. Right now, and y'all are not even seeing, like, some people are very upset at readers and psychics doing these kind of readings. So I have to be cognizant of that from all different kinds of angles. So Kim, from another Kim, this can be a reading if I have time and if the internet cooperates. I'm not doing readings for the collective or people asking for a reading for themselves. I do plan to do like maybe a little holiday love where I pull a card for people who like a card for themselves. But that's coming up soon. It's just been a little hectic. Little hectic. Yeah. Yeah. How many times we read for someone who wants the truth until we give it to them, and then it's like, yeah, they are not here for it. They're not. And then some people can handle not being here for the truth well. I'm human. I know I don't always handle it well to hear the truth, but yeah, it's like if this is going to bother you watching tarot readers or psychics discussing cases like this, then you probably should click off. And especially, if you're involved intimately into a case, I wouldn't advise it. I've gone through my own public traumatic experience where the public got to chime in during the social media era. It is not very pleasant. And what saved my sanity was staying off. Now, with that being said, that still doesn't mean that we just have carte blanche and just be saying willy-nilly stuff and just making accusations without really pausing for a moment and listening to discernment. I'm very connected to my ancestors. I'm very connected to spirit. It is something that I strongly believe in and lean into, that loving guidance, loving prophecy, and loving protection. It's very much, I allow spirit to lead with this, and down to the cases that I pick on which ones I'm going to do readings on. So, thank you, the Oracle Throne. Thank you, thank you. Yes, so we're just touching base because also I'm going to do a revisit of a couple of cases that people have privately asked me to revisit. So I will be revisiting a couple of cases for next Monday. So there will be some lesser known ones, one that was very much in the news, and then one that we didn't really hear about on a national level. So that will be going up. But I am open to other cases. But I do ask my ancestors and spirit guides, is this one for me to take on? And if I get a yes, I proceed. If I get a no, I don't. Oh, yes. Yes, Aleister Crowley's Thoth. There are a lot of fans in my friend group of the Thoth deck. In fact, I'd like to do a tarot study with the Thoth at some point, because my tarot studies that I've had in my Facebook group and on the channel have mostly been with Rider-Waite Smith. And that's my homeschool system. But sometimes it's nice to branch out, especially if you have a couple of Thoth decks like I do. I do. Most tarot readers, astrologers, psychics have good intentions and want to bring light to dark situations. But people in their own drama sometimes forget we are people with feelings too, trying to help. That's right. We are. And seriously, the last thing I want to do is hurt someone. And if I see something that's like, whoa, like in my mind that flashes, I'm like, I'm not going to necessarily share that. Now, I've had loved ones in the past reach out to me, and because they listen to everything I'm saying and they're like, well, what did you mean by that? And I'll tell them, but I don't have to share everything on a video on YouTube. I don't have to do that. It's about discernment. having the maturity to know what to say, when to say it. And yeah. Most tarot readers, astrologers, yes, indeedy. And we are just trying to help. That's all we're trying to do, literally. If we could, we would help so many people. So many people if we could. But yeah, we're only one human self, unless somebody wants to clone me. So yeah, what are your thoughts about Nicola? Does anyone not know about this case? That's probably what I should ask. Do you know about this case? Do you not know? What is it that what's some burning questions? What is some burning questions as I... Oh. And here's the thing. There's people who ask me if she's crossed over. That's why I circle back to the Eight of Cups. So let me see if I can find it. So the Eight of Cups flashed in my dream. I rarely remember my dreams like on call like that. But I was kind of in that state where it's like, I know I need to get up, but I'm not ready to get up. So I was kind of drifting in and out of like dream and waking up. And I just remember saying, well, where is Nicola and what happened? And then just like that, in my mind's eye, the Eight of Cups from the Light Seers. I use this deck all the time for professional client readings for myself. It's just always used. So when it flashed, I had all sorts of feelings. So I posted it to the community tab to see what you all think. And many of you have the same like feelings, all the feels, everything that you all had like volunteered in the comment section, I felt myself. It kind of felt comforting to like, because I hang with like intuitive, psychic people. Like that's my tribe, right? Or that's not, I don't like to use the word tribe. That's my friend group. So it was nice to have you all chime in and offer what you think or you intuitively feel what's going on with this card. It hit me in a way, and it was just kind of interesting to me that in that dream, I asked the question and then my psyche flashed it in a tarot card. I don't always do that either. It was just so weird with this. And seeing her walking away from the water and towards the sun. Yeah. Yes, indeed. It hit me in a way that I was like, and then people want to know also about her, like what's going on with her sister and her best friend. And I kind of Googled them, just seeing like articles and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm getting anything more than what's come up in my readings. I haven't had a chance to watch other people's readings really on Nicola's case. Maybe at some point I'll get a point to, like, I'll get to, unless you all put something in the comments that directs me right to it. I haven't had a chance to look at other people's readings, but yeah, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much. I would rather it be in a reading setting where the answers reveal themselves to us in the cards versus me kind of like not setting up a bias, but putting it like asking this question. And there's a part of me like, that's what's going on with the sister, and her partner. And then it influences the reading. I'd rather it be more general and kind of see what comes up and see what clues come up. That's how I have to discern on how to navigate these readings. It's not so straightforward. I'm not comfortable either because, this is a very sensitive case. People are very like, they believe what they believe about what happened to her. And then, and there's a real family who is missing Nicola, right? And so I have to like be cool. Yes, indeedy. A question on Nicola. Do you think she had an altercation with more than one person, was taken to a place nearby to the river and remains there? Well, and I'll show you in a moment, I did take screenshots to show you, and we have cards in different parts of her reading that demonstrated that some kind of argument was going on. What trips me out, though, about that theory and about that line of thought and that whatever is when people hear that, like when I'm looking at the videos, that links that people send me, like, okay, this person is taking the path that Nicola was taking. And so they're walking, and I appreciate them. Bless their souls for putting this out there, right? These videos on YouTube, people walking, and you're looking around and you're like, I feel like somebody would hear her if some sort of altercation was going on where she's encountering strangers. You know what I'm saying? Like, stranger things have happened, but I don't know. So we'll look at the cards and see what comes up there. It's a great question because in my readings, there was indication of some sort of conflict going on, but are we picking up on something that happened maybe a day before and then it just kind of kicks off or finishes off in the park area? Or was this that morning of? So that would probably be maybe another follow-up question I would ask. Oh my God. Okay, I'm definitely going to have to screenshot your questions. What? So there was a 16-year-old girl that was murdered in a park this weekend, an hour away by car close to Nicola Bulley's village. Okay, I will ask. That's horrifying. I'll have to look that up too. I'll have to see if I can find an article. Okay, so Karina brings up a great question about those kings. So I had 3 different kings out of 4 that came up in the reading. And that's not the only time. There was another King of Pentacles that came up in the very last reading, part 4, that I did of Nicola's case. And so other people started, chiming in and they saw other people's readings or the readings that they did themselves. And that's why I love sharing this with you all. You all also provide your intuitive insights. And it's just, I'm grateful for the little community we have with regards to that. I'm always intrigued by what you all have to share. Anywho, so I'm going to show you the kings because that was interesting to me. And it was to the question of what was the nature of her relationship like with her partner. And so when I first saw the 2 kings jump out, I was like, oh, well, maybe he's like 2 sides of him. But then it was like this 3rd king. And I was like, well, this is interesting. Why is there so many kings in this reading? What is happening here? Okay. Here. Make sure you all can see me. Let me take this down. All right. So we're looking at Nicola's reading, her opening reading. And we got ear. You could be witnessing, or like I kept saying, like you hear something, someone heard something. Arrow felt like it was a targeted attack to me. The hag represents like a malicious or bizarre encounter. Foot felt grounded to me, like as opposed to water. Like what's lacking here in this part of the reading is the lack of watery elements, cards with water elements to it. So that was like, whoa, that took me like to another direction in terms of did she really drown? Perhaps she drowned, like what the police hypothesized. Maybe she did. But then They claim they searched, they ain't found her in the water, and I don't know. So bitterness, desperation, and arrogance. Those were some shadow self cards that came up. So I wanted to skip around for a bit and show you those kings. Is it here? Yeah. I wonder if I can zoom in. I don't know if it'll let me zoom in. I have to stop sharing for a moment. I want you to be able to see it. Make it really big. Oh, it doesn't make it bigger. Sorry, guys. I'm going to have to share it the way it is. But, hi, Anna. How are you doing? Thank you for posting on the community tab posts. Thank you so much. I saw it. I will be getting back to folks as I get time in the next 24 hours. I'm going to do my best. But maybe she was buried. Yeah. You bring up some valid points about that. Yes, indeedy. Okay, so sorry, I'm a little clunky on StreamYard versus Zoom. Share. I think I have this down pat by now. So it's kind of hard to see. So we'll go to this one. There's backyard mental health. Was interesting. The burial and grave card came up twice in the 4-part reading series I did for Nicola's case. So that came up on 2 different reading occasions. Now we've got fear, misadventure, 2 or more, news, media, and the press. My God, children. And you all came up with some really great thought-provoking notions around the children card. I really enjoy reading your theories on what could be going on here. We have secrets, withholding information, money, and then the gunshot and shooting. So this is another card that when it jumped, I was kind of like, I don't know how prevalent guns are in Lancashire or even the UK. Don't know. Like in America, it's a thing. So this card in America, like with the reading within the United States, it would be like, oh, okay. But when I saw that, I was like, what is that speaking to? And then some locals were saying that they chimed in on comments saying that, oh, they do allow for, what do you call it? Like when you're shooting in the area, hunting. Oh my God. I don't even know. I'm such a Californian. I'm like, what is it? So, and then also the lady who owns the caravan park, she had kind of made, I guess, a tongue-in-cheek kind of thread, like if people don't leash up their dogs, that it could be a problem. Like she could be shooting allegedly. But I've read that also in an article that she said something kind of off color like that because she does not appreciate the dogs being off the leashes. So that was interesting to me. I was like, okay. And it stood out because I was like, what does it mean? But we also got kidnapping. You can't see it here. The words are kind of faint, but it says kidnapping and abduction. So we have that. And then these 3 kings, King of Cups, King of Swords, King of Pentacles. Free yourself, passion, new love is here. And then just the energies overall from her spouse or partner, you're not married legally, is 6 of Swords and the Hanged Man. So circling back to the Oracle Thrones comment, those 3 kings was kind of like, that's quite interesting to me. This is also the reading where I picked up where I was like, I feel like there Could be two parties involved in this. And that was because we have this skinny little guy right here and then a muscular person here. Sometimes it's just that. I'm just looking at the overall like reading table and kind of intuitively picking out what is it saying. And you like combining all of that at the same time. Fun stuff. Let me see what else. This was from the reading for Willow's perspective. I don't usually do readings in that way, where I'm going into the pet's perspective and trying to still kind of glean something from it. And I learned that that breed is what is it? I forgot the name of the breed. Anyways, like a spaniel, but I forgot the first part. Very intelligent dogs. And so when the octopus card comes up, it's like one of the meanings is high intelligence. And so that kind of let me know we were on the right track. But yeah, I feel like that little doggy knows some things. It's really upsetting. It's always a joy to hang out with you during lives. Thank you. Multiple personality faces of the killer. Ooh, you're right. For sure. It could be the one person with all those different kind of ways. And, the King of Swords can be quite abrasive and not very nice and cutting. And so the, King of Cups could show up very loving and, and then the King of Pentacles is all a business transaction. I could see how it could be like, how it could depict one person. Yeah. Yep. So I'm definitely going to be taking down Adam Bluefire. Thank you for taking down your questions and just including that as one little lump reading that I'll do. I'll try to do it today. We'll see how things go in terms of my schedule. But I'm going to also try to go through the comments and see if there's questions that would make sense for this next reading. If it's questions like about, and give me your thoughts on this, you all. What are your thoughts about the whole idea of reading on the sister or the friend, or really going much beyond what we have already done with her partner? I'm all ears on what you all have to say about that, because there's a part of me that's like, I don't know if I want to go there. And there's another part of me like, is there really any more information we need to glean from that? There's been a lot of speculation on whether the disappearance was connected to money, the mortgage broker job, a client, a deal go wrong. Could be. Someone sent a case to me that was like from the late 80s. I forgot her name, but in the UK or whatever. And she was a real estate, I think, agent. I don't know if she was like a mortgage advisor. So, but it was after a showing of a home, I believe. I don't know. It's really, and the money card came up a lot in her readings. Hold on, my friends. So, where is it? Money came up here. Travel, so moving her. We've got country, wilderness, gym. Also, the burial and grave. So I was chatting with someone offline about this, and somebody was mentioning that there's a cemetery near there. So I Googled the cemetery, and it's at that church, the parish church or whatever, that's right near where she goes for her walks, where Nicola goes for her walks. And that gave me like the heebie-jeebies. And so they were saying that where these two men were, that like where the witness saw these two men was like at the entrance of like near that front area where the church is. And I guess you can go off past that to the path to start walking. into the park area. And it just gave me like a feeling like, because I remember finding it last week on Google Maps, finding the cemetery and feeling like, that's interesting. Why is that going to be a big deal? Then I thought, like everybody else, oh, something or someone is buried, some information, a person. I don't know. But let me see what else I can find. Yeah, vehicle, scar, friendly demeanor, child or childlike kept coming up. Fraud. Fraud was interesting. That's there. Weapons. Inside. This card is inside. Out of town. Could be, if there's a perp involved, could be someone out of town, from out of town, or maybe they're now out of town. All right, so flight risk, someone who would skip town. Okay, we got rule or country, someone like also arson, destruction, fire card. Like this to me could be like somebody destroying evidence. It could be like a fire that maybe they're not even connecting the dots on that. Like maybe there was somebody who had this unusual burn of something, burning evidence. Now, could she have just had some unfortunate slip into the water? I mean, they already said they searched the area. I don't know. Look, that just doesn't seem, I don't know. Seems like they would have found her by now, but what do I know? I don't know. Hit and run denotes to me that someone outside of her may have caused the disposition of her body laying there. Somebody was also mentioning about like the fact that it's asphalt, or somebody leaving her that way. Hopefully not. But the asphalt aspect, there's a kind of rather busy road where there's surveillance cameras that were all around, where I guess she parks around there. And then there's the front of the church. You kind of walk and then you go to the path. But that main street, Garstang, I think is what it's called. It's a busy, busy road. So I don't know. It's literally like she's just disappeared off the face of the earth. Now, we were talking about the argument part. You can barely see the text here, but it's like an argument is, oh my goodness, I can barely see it. Let me blow it up. No. I'm trying to blow it up. An argument or fight is a strong factor. A friend knows something. That was another oracle card. Someone coerced the killer into hurting the victim. Now, she is just missing. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves with what may have happened to her, but I use this deck nevertheless, and so we can change the words around from hurting the victim or taking the victim. So a killer may have an item belonging to the victim. So the perp may have an item belonging to the victim, and lies, deception, and a potential cover-up. So that's what came up here in this part of the reading. This is the last reading that I did with regards to her case. Again, the weapons card came up, another type of a vehicle transportation card, premeditated or planned. This talked about the law enforcement aspects of the case. And that was part 4, I believe, of her reading. I believe it was part 4. Yes. Willow was part 3. And there goes that burial or grave card again. So yeah, you had some interesting cards that come up. Could this be like somebody, this jail or imprisonment card, somebody who has a prior record? Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Sometimes it is just a great idea to isolate, as Phyllis is saying, and going through that being the focus point and seeing what cards come up and expounding on that. That is a great idea about the three or the three kings. What can they reveal? Because that was to the question about the nature of the relationship between Nicola and her partner. And, they had been together for 12 years. And some people not getting married is just not, like whether we get married or not, it's not a big deal. But in the interview that her partner did, it was important to her at some point to get married. They were going to do it during the time of the pandemic. It didn't work out. But she celebrated with her folks, her parents, a 50-year wedding anniversary. And so I could tell it was some sort of, not a regret, but I could tell it maybe something that was important to her, but she didn't press it because, they have the beautiful family. So it was just interesting to me. That's about all that I'm willing to really go down the path of their relationship. Because even the childlike card can suggest not mature and emotionally stable. That's true. Unstable, yes. That's right. Because even the childlike card can suggest not mature, even unstable. Exactly. It symbolizes that quality. Sometimes when I get the children card, let's say somebody who's seeking love, for example, and the children card comes up, what that tells me is be like the child. It's an invitation to be like the child, to live in the moment. If you also feel like crying, kid cries typically. A kid is happy, but they live in the moment. That's the advice or something like that. So in this case, it was interesting because we're trying to hone in on if somebody is responsible for what happened to her. What are we dealing with here? What kind of dynamics was in that relationship close to her? I don't sense that this is a stranger danger situation where people at large need to be worried. The arrow card indicated that she was targeted. So I don't know, folks. I think I have some questions. If you think of anything else, maybe I'll hold off on doing the reading until tomorrow, and people can chime in what questions they think. Now, again, some questions will just totally jive and make sense to doing this reading, and some I'm just not going to be able to, for a variety of reasons. So, but ask and let's see. Yes. And childlike, yes. And childlike can be good in love, but in this case can go the other way. Oh God, yeah. Dealing with somebody who's just not emotionally mature or doesn't have a high emotional intelligence level, or there's an imbalance between the two, it can cause a lot of problems. So whether that's in a interpersonal relationship, or whether that's dealing with a colleague or a boss. Dealing with a boss, just because somebody's a manager doesn't exclude them from having childlike qualities, or just because you're a partner, or just because you're a parent, So I don't know. So anyways, that's it. I just wanted to touch base, give you all some updates on some of the cases that a couple of you asked, like, well, what ended up happening? Well, this is what's been going on. And there's been other updates on other cases I've done or readings on, but I just haven't been moved enough without maybe just doing a community tab post beyond that to share with y'all. And sometimes it's not really huge updates. I heard someone suggest that the people responsible for her disappearance deliberately planted the phone and dog harness on the bench, hoping the police would think she fell in the river as a distraction. The decoy situation, right? That would be interesting to read on. That would be interesting because I get that feeling as well. It just feels too pat, like, okay, place it here, the phone and the harness, place it here, and people will just believe that she fell into the water. And there's a witness who saw her in another part of the park area. I don't know what you call this. It's just, they're not trails, right? It's just like a park area where she's at. But was there a lot of extensive searching going on around that area where she was last to be seen by a witness? I don't know. I'm sure they did. I'm not going to sit here and say the police are inept or not doing a good job, but I just hope that they're really exploring all that, because the decoy thing, it does seem a little interesting to me. It's just the timing of everything, right? Like, she's emailing her boss, then she gets on the Zoom call, and then it's not even what, so the Zoom call's not even that long. It's like 30 minutes, but there's this window, this little window of time that she wandered off, but it's just really bizarre to me. Ew, yeah, you're right. The three kings with a childlike like energy, and not in a good way. Very volatile, very volatile, and really just tiring to deal with. And oh, of course I will. Yes, Amy, thank you. Thank you. I will. This is going to go up on the channel. It'll be where the lives are. It will be. Let's see. I post some cards on her physical location. I definitely get a garden nature, a building nearby a fence. I pulled from a house oracle and got the fortress. Ooh, and off to the maps we go, Amy. Off to the maps we go. Um, yes, thank you for doing a reading too on her physical location. And you and I will be chit-chatting later about it. I got a little like this weekend kind of out of sorts, trying to enjoy my birthday, but still had work to do. But I ended up enjoying my birthday. It was quite sweet. It looked like a country house isolated. The garden looked similar to the one in the tarot cards. Creepy. And that's what's been coming up. It's like targeted arrow, and the premeditated card suggests that deliberately putting the police on the wrong track isn't that far-fetched. You're right. And isn't that part is not difficult in my mind to get away with. Trying to pull a grown woman away from where she's supposed to be at, that seems difficult to me. But harming her, like clunking her on the head or something like that from behind, and just kind of dragging her through there when at the opportune time of nobody being right there in that spot and leaving everything open. They heard her while she's distracted on her Zoom, or not Zoom, her Teams call, and then they take her off, and then where do they go? I don't know. I don't think very far. And so now I have to look in the maps to see what you were saying about this house. And I know people were talking about it looks almost like a castle or something from, it's not a castle, but a mansion. I said a castle. It's not a castle, it's like a mansion. But it looked quite large and stately, and they said people are renovating there. So, and the owner didn't let anyone, like the law enforcement officers, go in and search. The owner did a little precursory little search. I'm assuming, I would imagine it's a mansion. It might take you a minute while the officers sit outside and you're running around looking. I don't know. That was interesting to me, but I get it. No search warrant. You can't be all up in somebody's house violating their rights. But nevertheless, I hope that they're looking in all the little nooks and crannies of the houses and barns and farms and whatever else they got around there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. You're right, Phyllis. Even a kind face can be distraction enough, asking for directions, and before you know it, you're right. I just feel like the answers are like right there, like right there. Like she's like, she doesn't feel far to me, like in terms of like where she was last at. I asked about the kings and got the lovers, 2 of Cups reverse, 4 of Pentacles, and the 5 of Swords. Oh, well, since you inquired, since you asked the cards, my God. Well, 2 of Cups reversed, lovers. It is speaking, and it is in terms of that position on that spread. That was asking about their relationship, like what was like, the nature of it and what was going on. So with the 3 Kings, and then you delved a bit further into that, 2 of Cups reverse. Anyone care to share what the 2 of Cups reverse would mean, along with 4 of Pentacles and 5 of Swords? What do you think it means? Sometimes the easiest answers are the right ones. And that's the other part that I grapple with. My logical mind has a hard time with this. Hard time. My analytical mind and Occam's razor and all of that. Like, it's so funny that I do these readings, because there's times of like I'm literally arguing with myself, like, well, no, this is what came up in the reading. And I'm like, well, no, what about this? Well, it's the easiest thing. What's right before our noses? What's right in our face? But it's not as it seems. It's just not. It's really a mystery. And so I'm just left with like questions upon questions. But yeah, what were we going to ask about? There was something, the decoy. I'm just going to screenshot like the comments. I appreciate your thoughts with me today, as I'll just make little notes of what I will ask and see what comes up in the reading. But in terms of if she crossed over, I do show still shots of the cards, and then I sometimes leave things up for interpretation. So some people don't like that. Some people just expect me to come right out and say it. If Spirit does not wish for me to share that at that point, whether I sense that someone is still with us or not, then I won't. Like Nykari's reading, I could feel her little life presence, her little 16-year-old life presence still amongst us. So I said it in the reading, and I felt really good about that. I felt confident about that. But if I'm not always like 100% sure, and I would rather err on the side of just not mentioning what I'm leaning towards. The cards will reveal what is really going on anyway, and I don't need to like outright say it and be hurtful. So, but and then in terms of like the family relations of the partner, we'll just see what comes up. Sometimes Spirit goes off on a tangent and offers up a whole bunch of information that you didn't ask about, and then later on you find out exactly why it was brought up. So it could be that. Could be that. Maybe she was persuaded or forced to go somewhere else away from the park, and the actual altercation incident happened in that place, a bar and abandoned mansion close by. Ooh. Yeah, that could make sense. Why wouldn't they take the dog? I don't know. Like, it's just, I get not taking the phone. I do, because the phone can be tracked. I don't know. And if the dogs witnessed her going in the water or kind of doing this, floundering in the water, wouldn't the dog be more by the edge of where she went in and not running between the gate and the bench? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's just, it just goes against logic. It's literally a mystery. I can understand, because when horrific things happen, we need to find a difficult and mysterious answer, because otherwise it could be us, right? Yeah. And I don't know. There's also the human being in me that just hopes. And I don't want to be the one that's like, Well, this is what happened. Like, can we all participate in hope, including the reader or psychic? Must we know everything? We can find out stuff. I can find out things. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm always interested in hearing what you all have to say in the comments section. And I appreciate you taking time to leave comments, and you leave thought-provoking comments at that, where I'm like, yeah, I see what you're saying. And you're looking at the cards too, and then you do your own readings. And then with all our readings kind of like converging together, you realize how they talk to one another. And it's just really fascinating to notice and to see that. But yeah, that's why I wanted to do it in this way, in this format. I don't also act like I'm all knowing either, as you all could tell. Like, I'm just downloading the information, and sometimes it's even when it comes out, I'm like, I don't even know how this connects, but maybe it'll connect later. Like the animal park and Felicia's reading. It was like, I made that deck, that oracle deck where it has animal park. I intentionally didn't use the word zoo. And so when animal park comes up, it's interesting to me. I intentionally did not want the word zoo, but animal park is kind of like a zoo. Yeah. Maybe the dog was attacking them or defending her owner, so they left her in the park. That's true. I mean, but if it was like a altercation or like kind of adversarial, I would think like the dog would, well, maybe the dog doesn't bark. Maybe the dog isn't a yapper or a barker. I don't know. Like, if it's something where she felt threatened at any point and was aware of the threat, wouldn't she like scream or holler or something? Like, so it does give more credence to, like, perhaps maybe she kind of walked off on her own. And then, I don't know. So I do want to explore a bit more about who is ultimately responsible for her disappearance. I also want to see if there's a connection at all with these fishermen, these two fishermen, and what's the nature of why somebody would do this. Now, we've all gotten clues so far in the readings. Is it relationship or is money related? Hello, Charlie. How are you? How are you doing? So, could Nicola have been involved with her partner in the setup of her own disappearance to maybe get away from some kind of deal they were in that maybe went wrong? Possible. I mean, it is so flippin' strange. Like, she just set everything up and walked out the little gate and left the dog there. Allegedly, we say. This is just theories, but I could see that. Some people were saying, oh, could it be for insurance? I don't know the insurance plan or scheme of the UK. I worked in the insurance industry for 20 years, so I do have an understanding of it. I've seen things, so I wouldn't put it past people. But by all accounts, it seemed that her and her partner were doing well financially, seemingly so. I don't know all the details. And so you all, I'm sure, can enlighten me on if there was trouble in paradise in that regard. But I don't know. I could see that. I could see that, Charlie. Maybe the dog knew the person. I thought about that too, Karina. I was like, yep, because maybe that's why the dog, even knowing a person as an acquaintance, you've been around the dog, maybe you've been around the person maybe 2 or 3 times, and now they've picked up this familiarity. Could be that. Could very well be that. Did the dog know this person? I'll have to look at the cards. Did the dog know the person? What? Because her Facebook newsfeed was very public the months before she went missing, detailing her every walk, full of selfies, etc., it's as if it was a setup to show that she could have had a stalker. Wow. Wow. Well, that's true. And you know what's interesting with the readings is that sometimes I get this impression that even not just my readings, but other psychics' readings or tarot readers or card readers, um, maybe sometimes we're picking up on all the prominent theories that's going on because the stalker card did come up in her reading. Why is it doing this? Hold on, sorry about that. Oh, showing you guys all sorts of craziness. Let me show you. Okay. So, what is this little screen here? There. The dog, door, maybe left by the gate. There's the fire card again. And tempestuous situation. Bizarre, malicious encounter. High intelligence, fish. Could be some familiarity there. The door. Could be the gate, or it could be like, you know, you would open the door, like maybe this animal is familiar. Maybe this is what these cards are saying. Missing. I sense with that card, it's speaking to and how she's how this face is erased. It could speak to what Charlie is mentioning, allegedly. You know, she's not in the water, according to the expert and law enforcement they've searched. She's not in the water. I don't know how far they've gotten with their land searches, but she is, in fact, truly missing. Not drowned. There's no water cards. Yeah. And we've got stalker. And we have the spying card. Where is it? Here's the spying card. Likely males. We know that now with the two men that came up in my reading. And so now it'll be interesting what comes of the police investigation as it relates to these two fishermen. That I'm definitely willing to explore as well in the next reading. Like, are they like really, like, what's their purpose for real? Do they know something? And people were letting me know too that, you know, Lancashire or that area is, you know, low crime, but, you know, just like any place, things do happen. And it was like a nice little reminder. And I know that to be true. But sometimes you look at these areas and it's super like gorgeous, it's picturesque, it's tranquil looking, it's all of that. But sometimes these things happen. People were also, you know, saying in the comment section about a young man 45 years ago. He was like a teenager who, you know, flew off the back of a motorcycle and ultimately was kind of found 7 miles down. Was it miles or kilometers? I don't know. Same river section as Nicola. And so it could be just some sort of dreadful accident. But, and then I guess there's been other people going missing or something, not like somebody mentioned just in this chat about in the like hour away, there's a 16-year-old whose life was taken, murdered, and you know, wondering if that's related or not. So I don't know the level of crime out there, like to know if like, oh, this is par for the course. Where I come from, I mean, somebody may be losing their life every other day, you know, so. Hi, how are you doing, Willow and Ruth? How is it going? I love your YouTube handle name. She may have left her phone and dog to go off and help someone being lured into the trap. And that's a very strong possibility. And that someone had mentioned it earlier, like, oh, I need a helping hand. And she's like, oh, okay. And so she's like, this is a safe area, right? Safe area. I'm on my Teams meeting. I'm on mute and my camera is off. So I'm on mute, the camera is off. Let me go help this person real fast. And then when the meeting wraps up, I'll turn it off, right? No need to disturb the meeting like, oh, I got to go help someone. It could be simple as that. And then they get her just close enough to that little fence area or whatever and do something, you know what I mean? So that could definitely be something right there. She just was like, oh, I'll help you, and left the phone open, unlocked. And as the meeting's going on, it's just really interesting. I know people have been watching the partners interview. I don't know. We all can have our thoughts and opinions one way or the other. I don't know. I just, like I said, I like to see what comes up in the cards and go with that. That's a great one, because it very well could be that she was just helping someone that she knew as an acquaintance, as a friend, as a, business partner, who knows? And so that could be like what we could possibly explore. Like, was she lured? Is it now a question of, to me, it definitely feels like someone has their hand in it. It's not necessarily a misadventure or a fall, an accident, but is she complicit in her disappearance? Or is this not at all the case, that she was taken? And so that's another thing to get kind of clear on. But what do you all think about law enforcement? Do you think that now that they're expanding their search, that there may be more movement? I mean, it is unfortunate to me that it took them 9 days to interview this witness who said that they saw these two people, and that these people are actually captured on surveillance, I think, from the day before. Like, I wish that would have been simultaneously going on, interviewing witnesses, potential witnesses, as they were searching the water. Really? This is awesome. You live not too far from Lancashire. It's safe and you don't expect crimes like this. Okay. So that was the vibe that I was picking up on. But like, people were like, well, you just never know. And I'm like, true, but usually there's known characteristics about certain parts of the world. And I just felt like it looked safe. It's odd that the area where she disappeared has no camera footage close by to show what happened. Is it possible there's some kind of cover-up or police corruption? Now, those cards did come up. I'm not necessarily, going to say, make the accusation that police are, corrupt or trying to throw it off intentionally. But we'll see what comes up in the cards. Everything's alleged, but it is a little interesting how they've been conducting their investigation. I'm no detective, so what do I know? I'm no expert on this, but I've followed quite a few cases in my life, and I'm kind of old now. So, it's just interesting how they treated it as a missing persons only, but the risks that you run with that, and I get why you would, if you really had suspicions of somebody walking off and walking off out of their life, and they're intentionally leaving, they're running away from their life. Yeah, you would go in the missing persons direction. But if you're not sure if it's foul play or not, 100% sure, to me, treating things as a crime scene would be probably the best course of action. And how you treat a crime investigation is probably a little different than how you treat a missing persons. You'd probably be more inclined to interview people and really get down to the bottom of things and not just look in one area, but you be looking all around. I don't know. Oh, that's probably got to rock the community too. Like, what is going on here? Now, do you know, is it customary for people to really drown in that section of the River Wire? Is it River Weir? I hear people pronounce it differently. Weir Wire. Are there a lot of drownings there? Like, it's just interesting to me. She she traveled over there all the time, so she would probably know, like, okay, don't be too close to the edge of the water. And so law enforcement going in that direction, I understand having an hypothesis and needing to, have a thread to follow for the investigation. However, I don't know. And the witness had said that the memories aren't fresh anymore after 9 days. And they're right. Things could get rather fuzzy as time goes on. Okay. See, that's what I was thinking. Like, I mean, freak accidents happen. It's known. They've happened, but I just don't. The cards for me say what they say. However I want to feel about it or not. However, Kim, the regular gal who's not reading all the time, reading the cards, this is how I feel. But the reader in me is like, no, absolutely not. She didn't drown. So, yeah, that's right about the level of crime. I live an hour from where she disappeared, and serious crimes in smaller villages are extremely rare, right? Like, can I ask you all this? And I hope I'm not too forward, but what is the overall feel of the locals? What do they feel happened? Like, what are they in? What is mostly a buzz of what people are saying they think happened to her? Or do people really, really don't know? They really just is like, I can't make a guess. I don't know. Or they all kind of, generally speaking, have a feel about what happened. Usually people let their dogs run and play in the water. And so I would imagine there's sections of that river that they would do that, where it's easy for the dog to go in, and if necessary for the owner to kind of be able to scoop the dog if necessary, and that area where the bench is doesn't look like a place. I'm sure she probably wasn't planning on Willow to go up in the water on that cold January 27th day. But I just seeing where the bench is and that drop, I'm not seeing how she want to be near that edge. Probably wouldn't. That's not the day for the dog running in the water, but that makes total sense. That makes sense to me. The river is slow moving and tidal, not a fast flowing river like at Bolton Abbey. I feel like I get little lessons on your geography. That one has claimed lots of lives. Okay. Oh God. Well, that's good to know. Tidal and moving and tidal, slow moving and tidal. Okay. Oh. Yes. What's the local chatter? Yeah, we want to know. Hi, Sherry. How are you doing? I can't wait I think I saw some of your comments and I appreciate you. I'll be definitely popping in. I got a little overwhelmed with my comment section. Normally, it's not very many comments, but I put the call out. I said, please share your insights, your intuitive hits. What comes up for you about, Nicola's disappearance? And even if you just have well wishes for her and her family, that's beautiful too. So thank you all for answering the call. We want to know the local chatter if you all are willing to share. We do. Hey, my friend, how are you doing, Creed Design? Thank you for joining us. Everyone's talking about the camera not working, but why isn't it? Yeah, like, are these old busted CCTV cameras or what's going on? Has anybody really asked the question, like, what's going on with this camera? Like, we know it's not working, but it's that par for the course. Why isn't this camera working? Just a general, general inquiry. Or did someone break it? Like, what's going on here? Is it known, like, oh yeah, we know that one had a glitch in the, or, it's got a short in the cord or something, and we knew about that months and months ago. Okay. But what's going on? Why wasn't it working? Well, you have to tell me. I mean, I could ask some of these questions, but you have to tell me the quality of the stream, because sometimes the internet is working great and other times I have to do pre-records. So what I was doing, Sherry, was getting people's questions in case the internet cuts me off again. And then I could just do a recorded video and publish it later. So I was getting your questions in case the internet is not cooperating. Yeah. I do like doing, by the way, I do like doing cards for us. Like if we have impromptu cards, I've done that in the past on some of the past cases we've covered. And it's dynamic. Like I'll have a card jump and then we all I'll give my interpretations and everybody chimes in. And we don't just do it for Mystery Mystic readings, by the way. Sometimes I'm inspired to do this for just different topics, like that you might have a question on, like my career, what's going on. And then we do a reading in that way. So I do actually enjoy it. I just live on an island where the internet's a little wonky. I'm not sure about the true locals, but the general feel of things I'm getting is that something weird has gone on and that the partner is very dodgy. Chris Watt vibes. Really? Okay. All right. Okay. And see, I know you're intuitive, so we're all intuitive, but I know some of us have really, we flex that muscle. We work with that intuitive muscle on a daily, and we strengthen it. So I'm sure that's what's going on with you, and I'm sure you're getting a good pulse on that. I mean, I was just curious, like, what is, because we're all around the world, like hearing about Nicola's case, and I've always been curious when like cases take like this national and now international kind of presence in the world. I don't know. Like I'm always curious, how do the locals feel? Like what's the gist? What's on their minds, on their hearts? What's going on with them? I'm glad you caught me too. This is fun. I'm like, yay, the internet gods are cooperating. Oh, we are having a little rendezvous while you're at work. I like that. There is a man missing not far from there. I heard about that. And Awaken Butterfly Readings, a channel that when I do get a chance, she's one of the ones that I've watched. First, I do my readings. I try not to watch other people's readings until I know I'm pretty much done with the readings I do. I don't want any outside influences. And I also kind of like to be like, okay, what did your reading say? Okay, mine said this, and like, oh, we're right on point, or oh, you have a different feel and I have a different feel. But I think she did a reading on the gentleman that is missing, like from a month before. I don't know the details, I'll admit. So I don't know much about that case, but I know that I've saved her video to watch later when I get some time to see what's going on with that, because I guess he disappeared, and if they're alleging that he drowned too, he hasn't popped up. So I don't know if that's what the law enforcement is saying happened to this man. Let's see, how long was it out? What was out? I'm sorry, I forgot. what we were talking about with that. Pre-design, let me know what you're referring to. People around me feel someone, a male very close to her, did it. Out of respect, I will not name him. Okay. And I respect that. I respect that. That's okay. We don't need to reveal it all. We can. That's interesting, though. That's what I was feeling, a closeness. Oh, now I got to look back at them cards again. I won't subject y'all to that. I wish there's a way that I could copy the entire comment section, but I won't. I just want to take some of your comments so I can meditate and ponder on them and see if there's a way to work it into a question for the reading. But with this, I don't know. Maybe more information will come out if it's anything more than a rumor. And then if it is, we get another development with Nicola's case beyond the reading I'm planning to do for her case today or tomorrow, then we'll do another reading at that time. But I won't keep doing a whole bunch of readings on it. I don't want to. I don't know. Sometimes the same cards will just start coming up over and over again and repeating themselves. And the spirit's kind of like, you asked that already, so go somewhere else now. So I don't want to overdo it. So we'll do one more reading on her case. And then if major developments happen where it warrants, like confirmed major developments happening, that would warrant a reading, another reading in the future. So I'm going to do one more. And that's why I was inviting y'all's questions for me to pose to the cards. If I have a moment, I can try to throw a card or two. We could pick a question to tackle as a group. I'm not going to go out by myself on this one. Y'all coming too. Because something supernatural or out of the ordinary. I wondered that as well. I do wonder that. I'm not going to even lie. And I don't normally go there, with certain readings, unless there's certain cards that come up that kind of lean its way towards that. But there's something about her case. And then when I'm hearing about these other disappearances or little nuanced, like coincidences and things, and I'm like, I don't know about this. It doesn't feel right. I don't know. What do y'all think? Because something supernatural or out of the ordinary even happened. Could have. I would vote yes. Especially as law enforcement goes on and then they're continuing their investigation. And again, I mean, they're probably a mighty fine police department. I think, what's it called? Constabulary? I think I'm mispronouncing it. But Constable, what do you call it? The police in the UK? I'm mispronouncing it. But the police. We'll see. As they start to check these different areas and check these different leads, then it starts to beg the question, well, what other occurrences have happened there that could possibly be supernatural? Me too. From the beginning, I saw him. I just had that vibe. Chris Watts. Wow. I just thought, okay, this is what I thought. This is Kim, homegirl Kim, your friend Kim, not reader Kim. We're both your friends, but there's reader Kim and there's Kim Kim. So I thought Kim thought he's just like doesn't have a warm and fuzzy kind of personality. Maybe it's cultural. Maybe that's how they get down in that part of the the UK. Or he's also an engineer. And if you've ever dated someone who's very like that kind of brain, they don't always have warm and fuzzy, but they mean well. They just don't always show it. But certain things came up in their reading with the Free Yourself card and then the Passion and New Love card. Those three oracle cards that came up were interesting to me. And that's what I'll say. In terms of a vibe from him, Chris Watts creeps me out. Okay. He creeps me out. But I don't know if I feel that same level of creeped out with Nicola's partner. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I'm feeling. But I'm always interested to hear how you all are feeling, as I might be out of touch. Quite so. With what everybody else is feeling. The cards would tell us if somebody messed with the camera right. I think so. I think we could ask about that. And don't you worry. I have the questions. Before I exit out of this live stream, I'm gonna make sure I go through and screen grab all of the questions because that is a good question. The cards would tell us if somebody messed with the camera. That's what I want to know. Like, why isn't this camera working? And nobody seems to have asked that unless they asked and they got a satisfactory answer and it's not worthy of telling us. But it is kind of like all these other cameras working around here, and then this one happens to not. Well, why not? Why not? See, the thing is, in my prior career, my prior life, for many years, I did investigations, but for civil matters, not for criminal matters. So I understand the investigative process and everything you have to question, and you have to interview witnesses as soon as possible. You have to protect evidence because you have spoilage of evidence, and that sucks when you could perhaps later down the line at trial win a case. So time is always of the essence when you're investigating something that could end up in trial. I dealt with civil matters though, not criminal. So I'll just say that. But one of my questions as an investigator would be like, what's going on with these cameras and why aren't they working? And then that way, if the reporters are asking, well, what's going on with the CCTV over here where this all happened, where it would have captured her whole disappearance? Why aren't they working? And what's going on with that? The law enforcement could probably enlighten us and say, oh no, that camera had a short in it from months and months ago. It's just interesting. I'm going off on a tangent because it bothers me. All these cameras working around here. That's what I want to know. What happened with the camera, please? And if possible, does the woman who found Willow involve? Oh, so the lady who is the steward of the camera, the person who's supposed to, I mean, and she may not even be obligated, right, to keep up those cameras because it's private property. I'm assuming it's private property. So you have cameras on your private property if you want to or not. But it just is so interesting to me. The one camera. I don't know. A lot of cards are the theme of Nicola. Yeah. Makes me sad. And every morning I wake up because I think I'm in the Atlantic time zone. So I think right now we're 4 hours behind the UK. So it's 4:38 there now. I'm assuming it'd be 8:38 your time, UK. So I'll wake up in the morning and see, like, has any news updates happened with her? And I check, online on my cell phone, on the internet browser, like what's going on? I Google search her. And then I'm like, oh my God. The highlight was, oh, okay, there's a witness who came forward. And apparently 9 days ago, but no one interviewed them. Yes, lots of smirking and looks of disdain when he talks about Nicola. Yeah. Have you ever, now some of y'all may or may not relate to this, but some of us may have, whether you're man or woman, have you ever dated someone for a long time and you either want marriage or you're like, okay, can we make this official? And this other person is just dragging their heels. It's not a big deal. And it kind of leaves you feeling a certain way. And it starts to gut the relationship over time. And it's not even just about being married. It's about making it official, a commitment. I've been in a relationship like that. And it does leave you gutted. You could tell yourself all along, oh yeah, it's fine. But just like Nicola, my parents have been married for dang near knocking 50 years. I mean, probably not that long. I think it's like 43, 44 was their last anniversary, but a long time. And her parents just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. And maybe it's, some women, it's like not important at all, but they had kids. And he even admitted in his interview, like that was something they were going to do. And it's just like, I don't know. That had me feeling away. So I think I was looking at that interview more from the eyes of like, okay, what is really their dynamic? What is their morning routine like? Because he kind of gives us a glimpse of that in that interview. Like, what is it? You know, do they have coffee together? Do they, um, since they both work at home essentially, like, what do they do? Granted, I understand sometimes you get on each other's nerves living together, working, you know, at home, but I don't know. Or who knew that the cameras wasn't working? Stalking, premeditated act. And that goes with that card too, right? That planned, premeditated oracle card that came up. So who knew that it wasn't working? I just want to know why. Why wasn't it working? It's going to be interesting to see how the cards behave with that question. Constables, thank you. The constabulary. Sorry, I speak English is my first language, so I'm sorry. I don't know all the English terms, the proper English terms. Constables. That's right. My mom watches like a ton of shows, British shows, like mysteries, like or comedies or whatever. She just loves like British television. So I'm kind of familiar with it. And then I try to pronounce things as accurately as possible. That's why I was like, how do you pronounce is it the wire or the where? Where, wire. River wire, river where. See, yeah, we're only 4 hours. Now, when I live in California, that's time. So it'd be like 8 hours behind you all. So it's not that terrible of a time difference in the grand scheme of things in the world, right? It's not. Read the body language of the partner when he's being interviewed. When asked about wanting her to be found, his head shakes no while he's saying yes. Oh, God. Has the behavioral, see, is there a channel, and I thought I might have saw one the other night, like an intuitive behavior panel person, not, okay, I know there's the science ones, the guys who study it, the four guys, the behavior panel is the name of their channel. But is there someone out there who does just like they're gifted with, you know, intuitively feeling something out when they see a person on television? I felt like it came up in the algorithms. It was like the body language reading. And it was late. And I had tacos yesterday, and I don't know how to behave on tacos. Like I end up eating a ton and getting hella sleepy and falling asleep while I was trying to do research. But yeah. He said, my kids? Oh no. I mean, okay. Let me see. I say my kids. I say my kids sometimes with my husband because I have two sons from a prior relationship. So sometimes I'd be like, those are my boys, you know, but oftentimes we're like, those are our kids. My husband, those are my sons. Those are our kids, our sons. I don't know. I found that strange. What else was there in the interview? And a lot of people are like, you know, he's just, you know, he could just be under a lot of pressure. And so he just didn't behave well. But somebody was even commenting on the dog's behavior in the interview. But then I chalked that up to, well, there's a strange person who's interviewing, you know, the partner. And so maybe the dog is keyed up because there's a new person there and they're being forced to behave themselves. But people were really analyzing his interview. And I found it interesting that he did an interview. Sometimes, you know, people just don't bother to do an interview at all. They just leave it up to our imaginations of what happened. But he did one. Okay. It would be great if you could do a reading on the 16-year-old girl who was murdered in the park close to where Nicola lives. They've already arrested two 15-year-olds, but unclear why they did it. Oh, no. Okay, I'll look into it. Oh, my goodness. Oh, they're on it though. They already arrested 2 people that they feel is associated, but unclear why they did it. You can explore if they really are connected and motive. Wire. Thank you. That's why I mean it looks, phonetically like wire. It even looks more phonetic like wire than the actual wire spelling, WIRE. Thank you. I want to just, be respectful of my UK friends. I don't want to be just mispronouncing stuff all over the place. I read the eyes, and that's the other thing. And then another thing people were commenting on was that there was this brown spot on his face. But then I was watching, it was True Crime Rocket Science, and he got people all aflutter. Some people from the UK were very upset with him for even doing this analysis of the interview last night. I think that's when he had it on. And they were saying, you're, hurting this man and hurting the family by doing even just an analysis. But one cool thing he did do was he had pictures from way back when on their Facebook, on Nicola and her partner's Facebook. And you could kind of see that he kind of just has a natural little mark on his face. So sometimes, these things can be answered just by looking a little bit. And sometimes it does help to use our intuition, and sometimes it's just best to leave things alone. We just have to listen to our inner guide on what to ask questions on. But so that question about the little black eye was kind of answered by Nick from True Crime Rocket Science, just kind of going through and taking screenshots and kind of showing. And then it almost seems like her partner's a little self-conscious about it because he kind of pulls his hat kind of low. But yeah, people are not happy about him talking about the partner. So that's why I'm saying, like, I definitely am here for the truth and exploring, what's the energy surrounding the situation. But I also understand, like, there's a fine line. So the murder girl was transgender, but apparently that wasn't a motive. Oh my God. Wow. That's interesting. Wire. Thank you all. I was wondering. I really was. The things that I wonder about, right? That's really sad about the transgender young lady. It's just, that's just really, really sad, disturbing. And wow, I hadn't heard about it. I had not heard about that at all. And that's interesting to me that news didn't come out yet. And not to say Nicola's case isn't worthy of being covered. It is, of course it is. We want her to be found. My God. But it's just interesting. I hadn't heard about that case, about this person who I haven't even heard how this person crossed over. It's just really tragic. So yeah. So you all gave me some great questions. Did I capture everything? Oh wow. Okay. My daughter just told me before it was mentioned here. It was that about Nicola's case or about this young lady who was a teenager who was murdered in the town like an hour away. But yeah. Now, granted, not everybody knows about this case. Like if I mention this to like my family who lives in California, they may or may not be paying attention. But those of us who follow like true crime, of course, you can't help but to hear about Nicola's case at this point. Yeah. So you all give me some good questions to ponder and ask, and we'll formulate the questions and see what comes up in the reading. So that's what we will do. Okay. So you just heard about it. All right. So maybe I need to, yeah, I'm just curious to see how they're going to I'm fine. No, I'm fine. Thank you.
It's gonna be gone.
Oh, okay. The 16-year-old was murdered just past Saturday in broad daylight. Oh my God. It's recent. Okay. In broad daylight? Oh my God. Oh my God. Stabbed in the park. Okay. Well, that's terrible and scary. Well, I'll say, you all, I'll say. I meant for this to not be very long. I just wanted to touch base with you all. I didn't know how long my internet was going to cooperate, my Wi-Fi, and I wanted to get some questions, give you those updates on the other cases, the young ladies who are alive. I would say one is with her family, and Zailey is not. She's with that gentleman, Ricardo, but nevertheless, they're alive. Yay. And that Felicia's remains have been found, and Drea McCray's charges, or no charges, were found. And obviously, we discussed Nicola, as I knew we were going to discuss her case for a while. So if you all think of anything else, I will maybe just give it a day. I'll go through all the comments. I have to go through them anyway because there'll be Bible thumpers or people who have really nasty things to say. So I have to make sure that I moderate my comment section. But I'll check out to see if there's anything else that perhaps would be appropriate for this next reading for Nicola. Or, in terms of maybe I might have to do a little segue kind of reading for this 16-year-old. Now, please know I have to sit with and meditate on and ask if it's a good idea for me to do the reading on that case. But I'm getting a yes. If nothing else, just to find out if it's related and just touch on what their motive was, related to Nicola's disappearance or any other crimes, and what was behind what they were doing. Why would you do that to somebody in broad daylight? Wow. So we'll go from there. It's just really sad and scary. It's really scary, to be a woman, and we always have to be on guard, and we always have to just be way more wary than I'm assuming our male counterparts. I mean, we all should be vigilant and paying attention to what's going on, but femicide is definitely a country to country worldwide problem. So, the analysis, it was Nick from True Crime Rocket Science. He is, let me see if I can post that here. Analysis and Nick from True Crime Rocket Science. Yeah, so he broke the little interview down, and he was just, because he writes true crime books, he's been doing that for 10 years. So he fancies himself an expert, but he was going in. It's oh Lord. And he's South African, so he has this kind of different kind of accent or whatever. But I was like, okay. He'll be like, nope, that disturbed me. Nope, that bothered me. Oh, and he'll give counterpoints no, could mean something totally innocent. And he'll explain why. It was interesting to watch his interpretation. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining me. Ah, that's true. Wearing a little hat. I just I don't know. With the partner, I can't. I don't know. So yeah, that's the analysis of the interview with the partner. It's by Nick. True Crime Rocket Science. Yeah, it's really sad. Oh, thank you. So yeah, I like to also just ask the cards if spirit would be willing to like let us in on it. Like what's next? How long do we have to wait for like a major development? Will we have to wait long? Will this be years? Will this be weeks, days, months? What clues can you reveal about that? Because I can just imagine the not knowing for her loved ones must be just, oh my God, unbearable. So, yeah. Anyways, my friends, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for taking the time to hang with me today. We talk about the case, you being very forthright and honest on how you feel about what's going on with it, with Nicola's disappearance, and giving me some questions to ponder and chew on for our next reading. And I will, of course, make a little like, well, you'll see it as long as you're, subscribed or you have your notifications turned on or to all. You'll see when I post up the video for this next reading. And if you think of any questions between now and tomorrow, please let me know. Oh, thank you for the hearts. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Phyllis. You have a wonderful day or evening yourself. It's evening where I'm at. It's wonderful meeting you too. We finally get to chat live. I've seen your comments. I'm like, I got to respond to some of those. Thank you, Karina from the Oracle Throne. All right, friends. Well, we'll get together again soon. Maybe there's a major development happening in the works, and so we may have to chit chat some more. All right. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.